Queens, New York. I'm in Jackson Heights. I'll give you a view out the window of my apartment. I apologize in advance. I live right under the landing route for planes going into LaGuardia. So there's going to be a lot of plane noise. You might see him coming right overhead here. There'll be a lot of plane noise. I may have to pause once in a while. But we'll move on, shall we? I've actually never made a YouTube video before, at least with any seriousness. So I thought I'd do one today. I thought we'd do a little bit of a show and tell of my much loved but inexpensive vintage piece from Hamilton, Illinois. Sort of an unusual watch, and I thought it'd be fun to go over. Anyway, I suppose without further ado I should do a wristwatch check first. That's something that we do, right? Also forgive me, sorry, I'm all over the place today, but forgive me for not having any kind of tripod for my camera. I'll do the best I can, and if I decide to make more videos, I'll have to go out and purchase a real camera instead of my phone, and also something to keep it steady. Anyway, wristwatch check for today is my trusty Seiko SARB 035 with the cream dial. It's all this natural light. It looks white. It is cream colored. Let's see if I can get a better shot. Cream colored dial. It comes on a bracelet, and as most of you will know, I have it on this sporty, preppy NATO strap from Wrist Candy Watch Club for the summer, which is a lot of fun. I think it looks great, personally. It reminds me a little bit of, people who have their vintage Datejusts on NATO straps. This is my nicest watch, actually. So, lest you think that all videos about cultural content from people who have tons of money to burn, it's not true. But you can look great for an affordable budget as well. Anyway, let's talk about the Hamilton. I'm going to give you sort of an overview first, and then change camera positions, and hopefully be able to do a little bit more hands-on. This is a Hamilton, Illinois watch from the early to mid-50s. Hamilton Watch Company, back when it was still an American organization, bought Illinois Watch Company. And one of the changes they made while they were still making both brands was to introduce a new line in 1953 called Hamilton, Illinois. They are inexpensive watches. They're sort of an entry-level price point. And it's kind of funny, in a time where we think of Swiss made as the ultimate sign of luxury. What they actually did was, up until that time, they'd been making entirely American watches, and they decided to import a bunch of low-grade ETA movements, which were so much cheaper and encase them in America. And so what you got was sort of an entry-level price point. It didn't last very long. Hamilton, Illinois only was a line from 1953 to 1955. Pausing for the plane noise. I don't know what year this is from. There's no reference number or serial number to be found, and I'm not the kind of person who can successfully open up a watch and learn more about it that way. There's a great blog post that I'll link below of someone restoring a similar but not exactly the same Hamilton, Illinois watch, where he shows the ETA movement inside, and his case back has a little more information on it than mine does. But yeah, so it's 60 plus years old. Still running, although with some issues that we'll discuss in a second. It came on this sort of elastic style metal bracelet, which, A, doesn't fit me, and B, I think is hideous. I'm sorry if you like this kind of bracelet. It's really not my thing. When I bought the watch, it was clearly not someone who took care of their watches who owned it. It was just covered in gunk. You can still see some of it. It's pretty disgusting. But it was much, much worse before. So I thought I'd take this off and put something a little classier on. Sorry, one-handed here. Anyway, let me change views, and we can talk a little bit more about this watch. Okay, I've got a very strange setup here. My phone is on top of two books and leaning against my Seiko watch box. I'm trying to make sure it doesn't fall down, so bear with me. Okay, so the Hamilton. So get in close here for a second. You can see that it has a very classic Hamilton American style, and the numerals and the applied markers, and obviously the very vintage dome tessellite. And, you know, the gilt hands, with the sort of, actually, to me, surprising burst of color in the red second hand. Judging from the blog post that I mentioned before and that I'll post below, let me move here a little bit so I can get better light, sorry. Judging from the blog post that I mentioned before, I think that if you look closely, I don't know if I can get it to focus this close up. If you look closely, the circular pips for each applied marker, I believe, were loomed once upon a time, long, long ago, but have long since lost their loom. You know, the dial is very patinaed, the numbers are discolored, the markers are discolored. There's a sort of weird ring on the dial. I don't know if you can see that, right on the inside of the applied markers. Yeah, I mean, it's very vintage looking, right? And it was very inexpensive, but I think pretty beautiful for the price. You can see it has a power reserve. Right now it says it's in between 12 and 16 hours. When I got the watch, it worked pretty much perfectly. I mean, it kept time, it ran, the power reserve reflected the actual amount of hours left in the watch, but with some wear, it actually wound past the 40 of the power reserve and kept it going. And now what has happened is that although the power reserve does move, it doesn't in any way reflect the actual amount of, I mean, as you can see, it's not even running right now, and it says we have, what, 15 hours on the power reserve. If I ever decide to get this serviced, I'm sure that can be fixed, but it was such an inexpensive watch that at least it won't be anytime soon that I bother. It would cost me more to get it serviced than it would cost me to buy. Anyway, you can see I have it on this lizard grain leather strap, brown leather strap from De Beer. Genuine leather, 16 millimeters. I believe this color is called Havana. It's like a reddish, brownish brown, a little lighter in color than the typical brown. It's a small watch, as you might imagine, from a vintage piece. I don't actually wear it that often because it's, you know, a little bit more of a hassle, and it doesn't look modern. But every once in a while, I think it's perfect. I went to a sort of a 1920s masquerade themed party with a bunch of writer friends, and I wore it to that, and I think it was, although not actually appropriate to that time period, I think it was perfect for that. Let me pause again and do a wrist shot. And there you see the Hamilton, Illinois on my wrist. I've never measured my wrists, but they're really, really tiny. I would imagine about as small as adult male wrists can possibly be. So for me, this size actually looks about normal. I think on any sort of more average sized person, it would be kind of small looking, which, you know, it's a matter of taste. Do you like that? Do you like that vintage look, or do you prefer something more modern and sporty and masculine? I happen to quite like this look. I think that dash of red in the second hand is really appealing. You can find these watches on eBay well under $100 if you keep your eyes out. Some of them are gold plated, some of them aren't. All of them have the red second hand. They're not a very collectible watch for whatever reason. I mean, I understand that they were kind of the lowest level Hamilton watch that you could possibly buy, but they only made them for 3 years. And at this point, they're 61, 62, and 63-year-old watches. They're few and far between, and to find one in running condition, I think is pretty special. But yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know if you'd be interested in any other content. I have other watches that I could show and tell, although none quite so unusual as this one. And I have sort of a diverse group of collections, wine, whiskeys and brandies, and first and foremost, books. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought. Like if you liked the video. Subscribe if you'd like more content. Tell me to buy a tripod if you think that the shaking of my caffeinated hands is irritating. And thanks for watching. Leave any questions you have below.